Now let's look at combining loops and ifs together. So just to refresh your memory, let's take a look at a loop that just has a for loop. Let's look at part A. So take a moment and try and walk through this yourself to predict the output. You can pause the video if you need to. So when I walk through a loop, I like to keep track of all of the variables that could possibly change in this loop. Can you see what those are? In this loop, we're going to change the variables char and length. These are the two variables that are going to change throughout the loop. So let's write those down. So we've got char, and then we've got length, which initially is set equal to 0. And character, we know, is going to take on each of the letters in the string, which is initialized to be hello. So I'm going to go through and write down the values of char for every iteration of the loop. So every time we step through this loop, char is going to take on the next letter. So when the letter is H, I'm going to add 1 to the length, which will give me 0 plus 1 equals 1. Then when I get char as E, I'm going to add 1 more to the length to give me 2, and I'll continue 3, 4, and 5. So what this will print out is hello, length is 5. Okay, and hopefully you got that for yourself. So before I walk through problem B, please take a moment and try that out on your own, pausing the video if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and switch colors here to try and make this easier to see, just in case the writing gets a bit close together. The first step again is always identifying what variables will change in the loop. And the variables that will change are the variable I, because that's the loop variable, and anything on the left-hand side of an equal sign. In this case, that's And so just to be consistent, I will highlight these here. Okay, so I'm going to write those down. I have I and is set equal to 4 initially. So I'm going to walk through this by hand, and so I'm doing for I in range 10. So I know that that's going to start at 0 and go up through, but not including 10. Okay. All right. So now what's going to happen to So if I look here, if I mod 3 is 0. So remember, the modulus is the remainder operator. So what this is saying is that for all the cases where I is a multiple of 3, so I'm going to change my color a little bit here. So I mod 3 is going to equal 0 here, 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 and here. So those are the only times that may change. And in this case, I'm adding I, so nothing's going to happen when I equals 0. I'm not adding anything. I'm not going to do anything to for the first 2 iterations, and then I'm going to add I once I hit 3. When I is 3, it's a multiple of 3, so I mod 3 will be 0, and I'm going to add I to it. Then nothing happens, and I hit I equals 6, and I'm going to increase. I'm going to add I to Nothing will happen for the next couple loops because this if statement will never be called, will never be executed. And then finally, when I is 9, that's also a multiple of 3, and so I'll be adding 9 plus 13 is 22. So what's printed out here will be 22. Okay, let's start with the next one. We have another if. We'll try here for C. Now again, let's identify the loop variables that are going to change. We've got X as the loop variable, and total is the left-hand side of an equal sign. And let me write these down. We've got X and we've got total. Okay, so X is going to take on all the values in list. So that's going to be 2, 6, -3, and 5. And then, oops, I deleted the whole thing. Let's try that again. And then I'm going to look at total. So total is only going to get updated when x is greater than 0. So nothing is going to happen here. But I will be updating total by adding x at all of the other repetitions. So the first time through, total is equal to 0. So I'm going to add 2 to it because 2 is greater than 0 following this if. So 0 plus 2 equals 2. And then 6 plus 2 equals 8. Nothing happens here, so the value of total is going to stay 8 because this if statement will be false. And so this line, the line that adds things in, won't execute. And then finally, in the final repetition of the loop, when x is 5, 5 is greater than 0. And so I will update total to be 8 plus 5, which equals 13. So when I print total, I'll be printing out 13. Now in the very final one, let's take a look at D, and let's take a look at these loop variables, the variable values that change. So we're going to have J changes, X is going to change. So I need to pay attention to those. Okay, so I've got X and I've got J. Okay, and X starts at 0. And it's for J, and actually I might, just to make my life easier, I'm going to switch the order. I like to have my loop variable first, and then my aggregator or accumulator variable second. So J is going to take on all the values in the range, starting at -5, and going up through, but not including 6. So it's going to go from -5 to +5. And X is going to start off as 0. So this one is going to really put you through your paces, and I highly recommend that you pause the video and walk through it on your own to make sure you understand precisely what's happening. Okay, did you give it a shot? Awesome. So let's go through here, and we're starting with J is -5. So when we started the first if, J is not greater than or equal to 0, it's negative. So then we come down to the else. And then we say, is J a mod 5 equal to 0? So is -5 a multiple of 5? Why, yes it is. So we're going to multiply X, which is 0, by -1 times J. So that's going to be 0 times 5. We're still going to get 0 again. And then, no matter what, we're going to add X. So note the indentation here. So this X plus equals J is not under the if. So we are going to add, the current value of J is -5, so we're going to get -5 here. Okay, so let's keep going. We are going to start, and so we're going to keep coming here as long as J is less than 0. But in the other cases, it's not a multiple of 5, right? So this is not going to affect us. And when we get to 0 again, we're going to be multiplying by 0. So we're going to come down to X plus equals J. So we're going to get -5 plus -4 equals -9. And we're going to keep doing this over and over again. So -9 plus -3 is going to equal -12. And then -12 plus -2 is going to equal -14. And then -14 plus -1 is going to equal -15. Now, and again, if you want to test this out, move your print inside the for loop, and you can write up this example and you can see everything that's happening. Okay, so now we're finally getting to the point where J is greater than or equal to 0. So now we're looking at this other loop. Okay, so is J mod 2 equal to 0? Yes, because, 0 mod anything is usually 0. Okay, so but we're not going to add or subtract anything because 0 plus or minus is always 0. So we're going to get -15 plus 0 stays -15. 1 mod 2 does not equal 0. So we're going to follow this else. So we're going to be negative 15 minus 1 is going to equal negative 16. The next one is even, so we're adding. So we're going to do negative 16 plus 2 equals negative 14. Then we have odd, so we're going to subtract. So this is plus negative 3. It is minus 3. Excuse me. Okay, which equals negative 17. Once we're at 4, that is a multiple of 0, so we're adding again. Negative 17 plus 4 is going to equal negative 13. And then finally for 5, it's an odd number, so we're going to be minusing again. We get negative 18, so what we print out down